This podcast is brought to you by Al Jazeera.
He met her in the fall. He took her to a movie. And when they done it all, he took her.
Hello and welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show. I'm Amanda Palmer, and this week, straight from Denmark, we're joined by director Annette K and her leading lady Trine Dyrholm. Hello! For a screening of their gripping new action drama, Little Soldier. In Olsen's film, Dyrholm plays an ex-G.I. Jane who becomes a Punch and Judy. A newly acquired skill for this top Danish actor.
Usually I hit like this.
And later,
what is the world going to look like in near future?
if anyone knows, it's Steven Spielberg's visionary cinematographer.
Do you know how freaking difficult that is?
But first, if I told you there was a Nazi who sheltered 200,000 Chinese civilians during the Japanese invasion, you might wonder why you never heard of him. Well, a great new film, John Rabe, plans to change all of that. In 1937, as Japanese forces advanced on Nanking, then the capital of China, the foreigners fled, but German citizen John Rabe, a long-time resident, decided to stay. Although a Nazi,
Sie glauben ja gar nicht, wie lange das gedauert hat, bis Sie das konnten.
he became an unlikely hero who set up an international safety zone to protect 200,000 Chinese from the onslaught.
What people need now is food and shelter. And it's our task to provide it.
Rabe's diary served as an inspiration for director Florian Gallenberger. This is a story about a man who's a Nazi. It sounds crazy to put the two words together, but he's almost the good Nazi. He was not really aware of the party that he was a part of.
Right. I think he was, that he saw himself as a Nazi, and I think that's a misunderstanding. He writes a letter to Hitler asking him to help the Chinese against the Japanese, and he is convinced that Hitler will do that. And when he finds out that Hitler doesn't, and when he comes back to Berlin and is arrested, he slowly understands that he didn't really know what's National Socialism, and he changes.
The safety zone has 5 entrances, which are controlled by us.
That gives us as Germans the possibility to tell his story, because if he would not have made this change, I think you could not make him a hero at all.
German actor Ulrich Tukur plays Rabe.
And after 27 years in China, may I tell you, if there is room for 100,000 Chinese, then there's also room for 200,000. This is the least of our problems.
To do a film about somebody who is a real historical person, who really did exist, you have to be convinced, and who wasn't really aware of what being a Nazi was. Are you entirely convinced of that?
He was absolutely not corrupted. And at the moment when things needed to be done, he did them. And that was life dangerous for him.
Get out and leave the women alone! Wir sind Deutsche! Heil Hitler! Deutsche!
And he had no economic interest in the whole thing, like, for example, Oskar Schindler, who's great humanitarian. In fact, I don't want to doubt, but he made money with that. He lost everything. And he was completely forgotten. Like the whole massacre of Nanjing, which is called the Forgotten Holocaust.
Also known as the Rape of Nanking, the 6-week wave of abuse, looting and the murder of up to 300,000 Chinese is still a taboo topic in Japan.
I would be very happy if that film could help to open up a discussion, to give them the chance to look back at their own history and responsibility, and to face it with a time span of 70 years, giving them the freedom to maybe say, yes, we did wrong at that time.
明日の朝生きた捕虜は見たくないぞ少佐。誘導爆弾で都市の駐屯地を爆破する。我々がいかに勝っているかを南京に見せつけるべし。
It's very interesting for yourself to do a film that is about a Nazi and asking the Japanese to think about their own responsibilities of guilt.
Yes, I think for me it was important that if we Germans make that film, it's not us pointing with a finger at the Japanese, because we have busloads of guilt to deal with ourselves. And I never wanted to make a judgment about Japan or about they are the bad ones. I think I wanted to make a film about a historical event and what sort of effect it had on the main characters of the film.
You are a real phony bastard and a Nazi swine as well.
And you, Dr. Wilson, You're an ugly, pig-headed know-it-all. And a crybaby.
Cheers.
Post.
Janusz Kaminski has been Steven Spielberg's director of photography for almost 20 years, which I guess means he's pretty good. Well, he held a masterclass at this year's Berlin Film Festival, and he was kind enough to invite us along.
I think the biggest thing for a cinematographer is to have the ability to read the script and then to digest the story and project the images through your own experiences, you know. Steven felt that this picture had to be made in black and white simply because our knowledge of that period comes from black and white photography. And he felt it would be just wrong to make it in color. The picture was based on an original book written by Connelly, and that part, that little element, was included in the book. We shot on color, and then at that point, this is 1993, each frame was rotoscope. Rotoscope, if you know what that means, it's an animation technique where each frame gets separated and all that stuff. Now you could do it very easily digitally. That's the one good thing about digital.
Oh, please, let's go. Let's go, please.
At one point, I've attached drill to the magazine and use the drill, and the bit goes around and hits the, you know. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like a machine gun. And you play with the speed. You play what happens when you shoot at 3 frames and you print it to 24 frames, or what happens when you have a little device that you go from 24 frames, you go to 12 frames. So in theory, you're making everything go fast, right? But if you go from 24 frames to 12 frames and then you step print each frame to go back to 24, so people don't go that fast, but they go a little bit smeared. How is that, what is that going to do to you? Or what if you do that as the camera is pushing towards Tom Hanks and you dial to slow speed, but then you print it up, you know? What happens to the emotions? Because it's all about emotions. It's all about evoking emotions in the audience. It's just to make you feel a certain way about a picture, you know? What is the world going to look like in near future? You know, is it orange? Is it blue? Is it grainy? Is it slick? You know. There was one particular scene where Tom Cruise's eye is being replaced. You know.
Let me introduce my gorgeous assistant, Miss Van Eyck.
I wanted to shoot it warm because it was such a kind of almost like burlesque scene. So I went with heavy grain and orange color because it just felt like my recollections as a child of the puppet shows, you know. It was, you know, always a little bit dark and kind of, you know, scary and very warm because that's what the puppet shows are.
What did you give me? Smile medicine.
Munich, it's a political thriller, and the camera became almost a hunter. You know, you follow the characters as you chasing them and eventually kill them. I'm shooting into the mirror, through the glass. In the mirror, I've got glass in the back. Do you know how freaking difficult that is? I started imagining what it must have been to see the world through one eye. So I kept on closing my eye with my hand and seeing, you know, the choices I have, you know, and playing with the sharpness, you know, what's sharp, what's not, and drifting in and out of conscious. What is that supposed to look like? I'm also playing with the camera speed. So when the camera is on the mouth, I'm at 24 frames. when the camera goes to the eye, very frequently I'm at 6 or 12 frames because I wanted that rapid eye movement on the speaker, you know. So I wanted the eye to move not on our guy, but whoever is talking to the camera. I wanted that kind of a weird twitching in the face. And sometimes there's another gizmo I'll be using, which changes the shutter speed. So all of a sudden the image becomes very smeary. What happens is the film stops at the gate, but the shutter still moves, is still moving, so it smears the image.
Ce matin, vous avez une visite importante. La visite du docteur Lepage, le neurologue. Alors nous vous espérons en pleine forme.
So I'm interested in going against the convention, in creating images that are frequently out of focus, creating camera that's very nervous, very unsettling. And of course, I've been fortunate to have scripts that were allowed for that.
In part 2, we're screening Little Soldier. I have the Little Soldier and the filmmaker here. Hi, Trine. Hi, Annette.
Hi.
You're not that little.
Well, I'm not that little. I actually worked a lot to get muscles. So I'm the soldier in the movie that returned from war.
No, you're not. You're the father.
She's trying to confuse you.
The writer and I have been working with very defined stereotypical characters, like a soldier, a villain, who's the father of the soldier, and the hooker.
So in part 2, we're going to find out whether Trine is the hooker or the soldier, because we know she's not the father.
She's the father.
You're not the father in part 2.
He met her in the fall.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show in this special screening of Little Soldier. Can we please welcome the filmmaker here? This is Annette K. Olesen and her leading lady, Trine Dyrholm. Annette, tell us about your film.
It's a film that I actually developed with Trine from the beginning, and it's a film about saving or rescuing.
Trine was the lady that you always wanted to play this part, wasn't she?
Trine was, she was the character in our minds.
Trine?
Yeah, I just want to say that we worked together before, so it was quite natural that we wanted to meet again. And I'm just looking very forward to talk about the movie with you afterwards.
Danish soldier Lottie returns from battle, traumatized, numb, and broke.
Kan du ikke låne mig nogle penge?
Instead of a loan, her father offers her a job with his escort service.
Okay, ladies.
Driving his girlfriend Nigerian call girl, Lily.
Could you say hello?
They don't exactly hit it off.
I am not having a female driver.
But after sharing adventures and comparing emotional scars, they form a wary bond.
You did okay up there. You did okay, soldier.
Before filming started, British actor Lorna Brown, who plays Lily, spent time with women who'd been trafficked.
They think that they're coming to Europe to be beauticians or hairdressers, and then find that when they get here they owe a certain amount of money. Some of them were just like 21, you know, and in that short space of life had gone through things that I hope you and I never ever have to see.
Director Annette K. Olesen sees migration at the heart of the film.
The poverty of places like Africa is not just something you deal with by paying money for a humanitarian organization or by having a foreign policy. You know, you have to deal with it at your doorstep.
Du får lige din penge igen.
The Little Soldier's not a simple tale of an exploited African rescued by a brave European.
The feeling, there's a melting, there's a tenderness that they both kind of allow each other to delve into.
It's okay.
I think in some ways she saves Lottie because I don't know that she's ever really opened up to anybody. She certainly doesn't with her father.
Skal have en lille fest.
You told Trine that you wanted to create a relationship that was like a relationship between a father and son. You must have thought you were auditioning for a male part for a few minutes.
Yeah, actually I can tell a story. To make it plausible that I could actually be a soldier, I worked a lot doing muscles, and I worked to be very masculine walking, and I also tried to learn how to hit, because usually I hit like this, and it's actually quite difficult to hit people, I think, and you have to just learn how to stare direct into the eyes and just... Skal I kalde mig for en luder? We talked about this son and father relationship, that they cannot communicate, but the way they can communicate is to hit each other, and he's just like this all the time, and she's kind of trying to be his son.
We made rehearsals where we discovered that they didn't really know what to say to each other. These two
We did a lot of
characters.
improv.
We did a lot of improv.
And we didn't say anything
And
at
then
all.
suddenly you just started fighting, and that worked.
Kan du så høre, hvad din gamle far siger? Kom så her. Stærk dig nu! Nu gør du fandme som din gamle far, han...
At one point at the shooting, Annette, she was saying in the walkie-talkie, Lorna, you look just like Naomi Campbell, and Trine, you look like Robert De Niro. And I was like, oh, is that really good or is it not? I mean,
He wants 2 hours. Jesus. I don't think so. He's Swedish.
As part of developing this character, they interviewed a real female soldier, and even your own, perhaps, perceptions were challenged when you opened the door. What did you find?
There was this beautiful, stunningly actually beautiful woman with long blonde hair, and she was a leader of a group in Iraq.
A leader of men?
Yeah, a leader of men, and she taught herself to do push-ups in one arm. She'd been for many years living in a reality where she had to beat the men all the time in order to have respect. But it was very, very interesting to talk to this woman, also because she, of course, had, you know, the longing of a boyfriend, and it was difficult for her because she had this body. You know, she was carrying around this body of a bulldog.
Den er til dig. Det er en geranie.
Altså, de plejer at gå ud for mig, jeg er ikke sikker.
I was just going to ask the director, what inspired you to co-write the film and to direct it?
You know, we had this idea about making a gangster film, actually. At the same time, I started noticing that in the paper we started getting stories about the soldiers coming back and freaking out. You know, soldiers that we don't deal with in Denmark. We deal with their coffins, but we don't deal with the live soldiers coming back.
Og det er ingen, der er uenige, for det har FN's Sikkerhedsråd selv besluttet enstemmigt. Det er altså lagt åbent frem, så der er ikke noget at komme efter.
Det sagde den danske statsminister i 2003, da kritikken om Danmarks deltagelse i Irak-krigen var...
As you might know, Denmark went into Afghanistan and Iraq, and it was very controversial in Denmark because, from my understanding, Denmark is not supposed to go into war as an attacker. If they do go into war as an attacker, it has to be ratified by the UN. And in this case, it wasn't. So it's been very controversial going to war, and it's been very controversial coming back.
Can you talk a bit more about Lily and what were her emotions? Is it that she's so used to her life now that she's actually enjoying it, or she just doesn't know how to go back to the life she had before?
You have to come with me to the next one. After I go to post office and send this.
Send it?
For my daughter. You think I'm here for laughs?
Well, she doesn't want to go back to the life she had before because she's got nothing to live from in Nigeria but continue what she's done in Europe for less money, you know, and also being judged very harshly by the community, which is Nigerian society is very Christian.
We call her Bless, but her name is Blessing. Look. My mother has no work. My father is dead. I make the money.
The women I met, Nigerian women who work in Copenhagen as prostitutes, they look at themselves as business women. They went out to the world to rescue their families.
I do well. She has good food and good clothes. She can go to boarding school and be somebody. I am a good mother.
Even though she doesn't see herself as a victim, that doesn't absolve us of the responsibility to try and help somebody like that, though, does it? And that this raises a larger question of our responsibilities to help people in developing countries.
Of course, the conclusion is not, that we should just let all the Nigerian or African women come to the Western societies and work as prostitutes, then they'll all be happy. That's not the answer. And we're not trying to answer this because it's so big.
Who is this? I was shot.
The bedroom scene where you see the bullet mark and then you obviously go away from it again. You don't reveal any more. And I just wondered if that was obviously a decision you made.
I made a mistake.
I think as a director, it's much more interesting to work with the imagination of the audience than to give all the right answers. I like to ask questions more than answer.
I like when you don't know exactly what the character thinks, and you are curious what is going on this in this mind.
Yeah, I think the power of the acting is what carries everything. It's tremendous.
I agree. She was tremendous, right? Come on. Can we please thank Annette K, Olesen, Trine Dyrholm.
Det her, det er hjemmebag.
Nu kan hun også bage.
Det er sgu da mig, der har bagt det. Hun kan gå en rocksurfer, ikke med røven.
Well, that's it for this fabulous picture show, and let's finish the show by embracing our feminine side. So thank you so much for coming. It's so nice to meet you.
Thank you so
much.
You.
And thank you for having us.
No, it's been a pleasure. I hope you come back.
Join us on the next fabulous picture show.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the film and why?
The film shocked me. I give them 10.
It leaves a lot to the imagination, but it's got a lot in it.
Anyone can relate to this movie, basically. It could be a guy or a girl.
It is deeply, deeply depressing, but very good.